Welcome to the AGF podcast. I'm Brandon, co-owner of the American Grappling Federation and host of today's show. Before I get into today's interview, I'd like to thank our sponsors. First, BJJ Tees and Just Roll. For the best apparel in jiu-jitsu, check them out on Instagram and Facebook at BJJ Tees. That's at BJJ Tees. Next, Easy Flex Mats. For your premier home, gym, or sport mats, go to EZFlexMats.com. Also, Tanita Scales, the official scales of the NCAA Wrestling Championships and the American Grappling Federation. Never miss weight by going to Tanita.com. That's TANITA.com. Lastly, our 2020 charity, the ALS Association. To learn about donating, events, or volunteering, go to alstexas.org. Podcast land. Back at it. I'm excited for this next guest. He's a personal friend of mine, Tanner Hockensmith. Some people call him Hawk.
Yes. Yeah. Grew up with a lot of different nicknames, but Hawk will go with Hawk.
We'll go with Hawk.
That's the best one.
I'm used to Tanner. Hawk's still different for me. To give you a little bit of background, how Tanner and I know each other. Man, I guess I'll let you tell the full story with Chris Carlino. Everybody knows Chris Carlino too. For the people out there that don't know, Chris is my partner with AGF. You deal with him on the emails, and he's at half the events or more. Anyway, so I know him through jiu-jitsu. He wrestled. It's native of Iowa.
Yeah, I grew up in Iowa.
And he is the if I say this right, the executive director?
Yeah, but the Texas chapter of the ALS Association.
Executive director of the Texas chapter of ALS. And man, we got lots to talk about. So tell us a little bit about, so obviously I tied in Chris right now.
But yeah, Chris, that's a funny story. I was at a buddy's birthday party, and Chris was there down in Waxahachie, Texas. And we were just getting to talking, and he was wearing a jiu-jitsu t-shirt and things like that. I was asking him about it, I told him I wrestled, and so then he asked me if I would like to grapple with him. And I thought it was an odd request at my friend's birthday party, but...
And Chris, you probably have 100 pounds on Chris?
Maybe, at least 100 pounds on Chris, but...
You guys know I'm not huge, but I'm a tall dude. Big dude. You can see how much bigger Tanner is than me.
So I obliged him, but it was fun. We had a good time, but I won't talk about how it ended.
Gotta give Chris some credit.
He did try to put me in a triangle, but
there you go.
I don't know. There's not a lot of people that can actually put me in a triangle.
So I can.
He can. He has. But I just lifted him up off the ground, and he kind of wanted to stop at that point. But anyways, it was fun. So he invited me down to the gym, and we got to know each other, and I started training, and had a lot of fun with it. After, I was probably a mediocre wrestler in Iowa at best, but that means I've probably been a great wrestler in Texas.
Right.
But after high school, I didn't wrestle anymore, so going into jiu-jitsu was a lot of fun. Still got to grapple, still got to be on the mats and compete, and it was a lot of fun. So
still got to bang with my first heavyweight.
Oh yeah, I didn't like getting hit in the face though. That's not a lot of fun. Brandon here kicked me in the ear one time and busted my eardrum. That was a lot of fun.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was like, man, I think I'll stick with this grappling thing. Getting hit in the face sucks.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that I've always done striking.
Yeah.
I'm probably like the last 4 or 5 years I've done pure jiu-jitsu just because of the tournaments, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Oh man, I remember the first time getting in there. I was, my uncle was a professional boxer, so we used to throw hands when I grew up and stuff, and so I thought I could throw hands as well, but I didn't know about leg kicks. And this was before, everybody watched UFC. It was like this huge thing, and man, that did not feel awesome.
Yeah.
It was not my wheelhouse, but yeah, we got to hang out and meet each other, and I don't know how long into I started helping coach wrestling at the gym.
So Tanner taught wrestling for 4.5 years, something like that. For a lot of you guys that know my first black belt, Levi Mel's, we always credit Tanner for teaching a lot of wrestling, him and his brother Garrett, and the gym. Not just them, but they've gone on to compete at especially Levi has gone on to compete at a high level in MMA, and we always talk about shit.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Those are easy guys to teach, man. They absorbed every single thing they were taught. So
for sure.
It was a lot of fun.
For sure. So we taught at the gym for 4.5 years, something like that, and then We're blue belt. Got your blue belt?
Yeah, you did. I put on the winter coat, i.e. the gi.
Pajamas.
Put the pajamas, which was different for me, but I think it was good. It helped actually slow me down, let me think about the game a little bit more. Wrestling, I was just so used to just as much as you can, and the gi slowed me down. Honestly, it was easier on my body.
Yeah.
I wasn't torquing on my neck near as bad, things like that, but I enjoyed it, But life gets in the way.
Yeah.
I was having trained for a couple
of
years.
I moved away from Waxahachie too. So did you.
Yeah. I'm down in North Dallas now, so.
Yeah. So, guys, this is my Tanner has obviously he's a blue belt wrestler and has experience, but this is also one of my first podcasts where my guest is not 100% in the jiu-jitsu and MMA wrestling world. Even though his kids wrestle now, so
they just started. Shout out to the Lake Highlands Wildcats Wrestling Club.
Wildcats.
Awesome coaches, man. My boys in there. It's a lot of fun.
So now he's the executive director of ALS. For some of you folks, you still call it Lou Gehrig's disease. But ALS is the monitor. What does ALS stand for technically?
Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis.
Say that slower.
Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis.
Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis.
Yeah.
And from what I know, because I've been around it now. I know you. My fiance works for ALS.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, man. It's a super scary disease.
Yeah.
It's super scary. Tell the world, if they don't know about it, if you can.
Yeah. So in the simplest terms, so just think about everything in your body that you can control yourself. You can choose when you want to blink. You can choose when you want to clear your throat and cough. When you want to chew food and swallow. You can decide if you want to hold your breath or breathe. Walk, talk. Those are all your voluntary muscles, the thing that your brain controls. ALS takes the ability for that to happen away. So that happens in a sporadic way. It happens differently with a lot of people. But in the simplest terms, it breaks down the communication between your brain and your voluntary muscles. There's about only one muscle in your body that's involuntary, which is your heart. You can't decide for your heart to stop beating. It's a muscle, but everything else that's voluntary just sporadically begins to shut down. And so it is really scary for people, and it's something that's often misdiagnosed too. A lot of people go through situations where they begin to slowly lose the ability to grip, So you can imagine in the jiu-jitsu world, one day you're like, you can grip real hard on a gi. Just imagine, put your mind there. And then you begin to notice, man, my grip is snapping and slipping a lot faster than it used to. I can't grab a hold nearly as much. Then you get to the points where you can barely grab.
What people think they had a stroke or something?
Carpal tunnel. A lot of people go through so I've known people that have gone through carpal tunnel surgeries, 2 or 3 of them, before their doctor realizes that it's a neurological issue.
Oh, wow.
And
they didn't even need the carpal tunnel.
They didn't have carpal tunnel.
Oh, wow.
Because basically the nerves are degenerating and the brain was not communicating with those muscles that were allowing them to grip. Started one hand, 2 hands. That is called limb onset ALS, to where you begin to feel it. Another thing called drop foot happens a lot. One of the first people I met with ALS, his name was Troy Mussers up in Iowa. They called him Machine. He was actually in Afghanistan, in the military. He was a wrestler in Iowa as well. They called him Machine because he won a lot of physical fitness competitions in the Army. He would outrun half marathons during the day when he was stationed. His foot just began to drop a little bit, and he got and so after a little bit, it dropped completely to where basically the muscles that the brain is communicating with to keep your foot just where it is every day when you walk weren't working. So that I think about when you walk here and your foot just drops and you trip, and so that's how it started for him. And so it's different, but then there's one called bulbar onset, which bulbar means your diaphragm, the ability to breathe. So some people go through a situation where they get home from work and they're maybe a little bit tired and labored, and I've heard stories of wives thinking that their husbands were coming home drunk because their speech was mumbled or slurred a bit, and so they get home from work and they're tired, but really it's the ALS, it's the their brain was not communicating with those muscles, those speech muscles in the tongue, and then breathing, the lung capacity begins to shrink. And so it can happen differently for everybody.
And the unfortunate part is as far as I know, and I, like I said, I know some of this, I don't know all of it. I might have some inaccurate things, but there's no cure.
Correct.
And there's no known reason as to 100% why you get it.
Yeah, so there's...
is it genetic?
So there are forms that are genetic. We've, over the past a decade, we've identified at least 5 new genes that are carriers of the disease. But the thing of it is even if you have that gene, doesn't mean you'll always have ALS. It doesn't mean you'll get it. Now, you're more predisposed to get it. But we know then that there are environmental factors in this world that are making those genes develop ALS as well. A lot of researchers believe that ALS could be a syndrome with many different diseases wrapped up in it.
Wait a minute. What are those environmental factors?
Well, there's a lot of studies going behind that right now. So just so you guys know, ALS is where cancer was 75 to 100 years ago as far as knowledge about the disease, right? And so if you look at how much has progressed then for cancer diseases, we hope that is what's going to happen with ALS, especially with new technologies. But, we look at environmental factors, head trauma, head concussions is one thing that a lot of researchers look at. Exposure to chemicals. There's a research study going on up in the Northeast about, we look at pockets of populations that have a higher rate of ALS in the population. And there's certain lakes and river systems up in the Northeast that have pockets. And so they're looking at possible algae blooms and things like that.
Wow.
But the thing of it is we don't think that there is going to be one single environmental factor that develops ALS. It's probably a list of environmental factors.
It's widespread, worldwide.
Yeah, worldwide. Now, it will affect, the biggest population that has ALS is Caucasian males from 45 to 70. That's the biggest population. But absolutely across all ethnicities, all age groups.
They have it in China, they have it in Japan.
Yes, everywhere.
Okay.
Yep.
And so, and speaking of head trauma and chemicals, I heard that you get it, you have a 50% more chance of being a veteran than an athlete or something. We're one of the, ALS is one of the only service-connected diseases. So if you served active military duty and you have ALS, you get full benefits like you were shot in active duty. The fact of the matter is, when you have a rare disease, and when we say rare disease, we're talking about 4 to 6 per 100,000 people will have ALS. So that's rare, right? So when you have a rare disease and 60% of your population has a single common denominator, it's statistically impossible for there not to be a connection there. And 60% of our people with ALS served active military duty. Ooh, so being a jiu-jitsu podcast with a ton of veterans, I know it sounds a little scary.
Yeah.
Because I'm a combat veteran.
Yeah.
And is there a factor of the military? Is it higher percent if you went to combat?
No. So it doesn't matter branch of service or how you served. Although I say to a lot of people whether you were an accountant riding a desk or you served on SEAL Team 6, the prevalence rate is the same amongst all veterans. And so they're looking into a lot of things. What are common denominators in veterans? Everybody went through boot camp. Regardless, everybody got immunized. There's a lot of different things that.
Oh, you're gonna get a lot of conspiracy theories. Dude. I remember walking through lines and pow on both shoulders.
And so it's one of those things to where it's probably a group of factors. Well, you look at concussion. How many rounds did you fire a day?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's a small concussions every single time, and so that's why there's a lot of. And so we have one thing called that we work with the CDC on, the Center for Disease Control, called the ALS Registry. So when you get diagnosed with ALS, we encourage everybody to go fill this survey system out with the CDC. Yeah. Now they don't have to, because it's not like you have the influenza or Ebola. You're not required to go fill this information out, but we encourage people with ALS to do so.
Study.
Yeah, because one of those things is there's questions on there that says why do you think you have ALS? Because people, what will happen is you'll hear guys say, well, I fell down the stairs, I got a concussion, and I never got better. My body began to break down, then I got diagnosed with ALS. And so there's stories out there, and so then we look at research of why did that happen, you know. So the registry also goes like with job history, you know. There was in Iowa, I grew up in Iowa, there's a town called Brooklyn, Iowa. Yeah, Brooklyn, Iowa, it's funny. It's not like Brooklyn, New York. Yeah. But, you know, there's like 3 people in Brooklyn, Iowa who got diagnosed with ALS and passed within like 6 months of each other. And that town has like, I don't know, a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 people. You know, so it's like there's also pockets, things like that, where you have to look at, you know, get in there and do research projects as to why.
So let's talk about the tragic part for a second.
Yeah.
You say they pass within 6 months, and
well, some people do, but
what's the when you know, obviously you're going to get diagnosed in different phases of it.
Right.
What is the unfortunate right now? What is the lifespan of when someone gets diagnosed?
Yeah. So from really first symptom onset, which can be different for everybody, to passing, the average is 2 to 5 years.
Ooh. And for some of you folks, just to paint a picture, because I've been around some of these patients, they lose all mobility at a certain point.
Yeah. They
become in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
To bring some familiarity to it is what Stephen Hawking,
probably a lot of people know, especially in the South, Steve Gleason, former New Orleans Saints guy. Mm-hmm. He's really well known down in the South. He has ALS, and watching his progression, it's very typical of a lot that you see. And then they end up, a lot of them, we even had one, Christina and I, when I refer to Christina, guys, my fiance that also works for ALS, we were working Biloxi, Mississippi last weekend. Yeah. And we saw a grandpa there, and she could recognize it instantly that he was fully immobile. I think she called it an eye gazer. Yeah, an eye gaze machine. And did Stephen Hawking invent that? No, I think it was technology that he was working on, but explain an eye gaze. So an eye gaze is a really amazing piece of equipment, and what that does, and we actually help provide that to people. It's a piece of technology where we can give people the ability to communicate even when they've lost their ability to speak and talk themselves. And you can imagine, to be able to tell your loved ones you love them, I mean, it's a huge deal when you've lost that ability. And so basically what it does is you communicate with the computer with eye movement. And so you learn how to speak through the computer screen, and that eye gaze machine tracks your eye movement. Are you spelling letters with your eyes? So you can spell letters with your eyes. You can have preset words that you use a lot, and you can type a sentence. I mean, I text with a couple of ALS patients, and they can text faster on their eye gaze machine a lot of times than I can with my texting on my phone. The human ability to adapt to things like that are pretty amazing. And so we have the ability now to do voice banking as well. So people when they get diagnosed, they can go in and voice bank. And so then the computer sounds like them, not a computer-generated voice. I've heard that. And I'll be honest, man, being exposed to it the last couple of years, it is so emotional. It is. It is very emotional. I know we're explaining it a lot right now, but we've said a lot to the people on the podcast. But not being able to speak, going fairly quickly, 2 to 5 years, sometimes faster, sometimes a little bit longer, but. Man, and then losing body function, like your significant other, hopefully you have one in your family that is able to eventually completely 100% care for you. And it just gets worse and worse, and then that person has to watch it. I mean, Christina has gone to, I think you guys call it group? Support groups, Support groups, and she's come back and told me like the different phases, especially when she first got involved with ALS. Everything's new. She's learning about it, and then now she's obviously in the know of everything and runs a lot of events. But man, it's another reason why I wanted to do this podcast with you. I mean, you're a great guy, but is to help expose it, because it just, for me, it strikes an emotional chord. Yeah. And it's like, man, kids, parents. I mean, this guy in Mississippi, he was there with his wife, and he was there trying to watch his grandkid, and he's fully immobile, looked like he had an eye gazer, at that point, and it's just so sad watching them go at that point, and one of the most emotional. You're fully conscious. Yeah. So your brain stays intact. Like you're not in ICU. No, your brain stays fully intact, and one of the most emotional experiences I had with ALS is that young guy I talked about, Troy Musser. We were shooting a PSA at his house. And he at this point was mobilized in a wheelchair, couldn't, speaking, slow speak. And I was sitting at his house, and it was around 3:00 in the afternoon, and his wife had picked up the kids, and his kids came in and ran and jumped up on his lap, and his son was holding a book that the military had made for him about how his dad was a superhero, and had his picture of his dad's face and the superheroes, and there were all these pictures of him doing these physical fitness competitions and wrestling, and he looked at me through his eyes and his machine just said, after his kids left, that my kids will never know that part of that Troy. They only know me as this. And it was just like, man, because I imagine, and honestly, it's changed my perspective. Now, I'm not always the best at this, but sometimes when you're tired, you get home from work, and you're just like, your kids are all over you, and they're like, just giving them want you to do this, and you're just like, I'm tired, I just want to sit down. I feel guilty, man. When I go home, because I experience guys my age that would give anything to pick up their kid or to take them to baseball practice.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what right do I have
to be lazy?
Take
advantage of your time.
Yeah, and so I mean, those people with ALS speak to me every day, just by the way they decide to live their lives and changes you make, and it's hard.
You spoke of the drop foot.
Yeah.
And the was there a different name for the one with the numbness in the hand?
Well, that's just limb onset. It's called
And bulbar.
Yeah.
Is any one of those worse than the other?
So bulbar onset tends to take people faster because it affects your breathing. So people don't realize how much your breathing affects other organs and your overall health of your body. Your overall energy level, if you're not breathing right, you're not sleeping well, you can get heart arrhythmia. There's all different types of things if your breathing's messed up. And so
oxygen levels.
So we work really hard. We're blessed to have an amazing respiratory company here in Texas that they pretty much just focus on people with ALS, and so they can come in and really assist people with different types of devices, with machines that are non-invasive, which is basically a BiPAP or CPAP machine, and it blows air in and out. It helps expand their lungs.
My dad has sleep apnea.
Yeah, it's almost kind of it's very similar. Now the way it's controlled and the things like that are different than for sleep apnea, because being a big guy, I have to have one of those masks on once in a while as well.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And so it's a little bit different, but it allows them to not expend their energy trying to breathe. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it's intense, man. But it's interesting. Like, it's really heavy for us, and it's heavier for the people with the disease. But man, when you're around people with ALS, like, the joy that they have is it's amazing. It's weird to me, but I was interviewing a couple of people with ALS, and I said, well, think about if you were given the opportunity to know you only had 2 to 5 years, how would you decide to begin to live your life?
Yeah.
Am I going to sit there and be all woe is me every single day, or I'm going to take every day I have and have joy and be with my family? It changes perspective. Not like I ever want that for me, but it's amazing to see the way they choose to live their life.
Yes, for
sure. And there's a lot of hope right now, man. Through technology, through research, we're on the precipice of really making huge strides in ALS research, and so.
Well, I know that you guys obviously are a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And so, and Christina does fundraisers and 5Ks, 3Ks, clay shoots. You guys do fishing tournaments.
Yeah, lots of stuff.
For you guys that don't know, Tanner's a hunter fisherman. So for you guys that like to cover yourself in deer pee, he's your man, dude.
Yeah, man, I love it.
But so you guys do a bunch of events, and obviously this is you are the Texas executive director, and there's things that are done throughout Texas, and we're here in Dallas for you guys that are listening and not watching and know where we're at. But we're in Dallas, and so you have chapters throughout the main cities in Texas, and then obviously throughout the United States.
Yep.
And you do all kinds of events. I've been a part of several of them now.
You've helped load some cars in the evening, helping your
for all you employees of mine that I stand around and point while you unload my truck. I get my dues in with ALS. Don't worry, all right. But so you do a lot of events, and I want to talk about how AGF is going to become involved.
Yeah, man.
But also for you, because you're obviously more in the know, how can people help some of your, what you guys do, what are you doing outside of, you told us a lot about the medical side.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the nonprofit side and what you do on that side.
Yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about how we actually serve people with ALS and how we look. So our mission and our vision is to create a world without ALS. And so obviously we want this world to be rid of this disease. But while people are still living with it, we want to empower people to live their lives to the fullest. So we want to serve, advocate for them, and really empower them to take control of the disease. So we do that in a lot of different ways. So we talk about support groups. One of the biggest thing is you talk about caregivers. We do a lot of support for caregivers so they can just get a break a little bit, get education, and so that's really big. We do bereavement, which is, ALS doesn't stop when your loved one passes. The emotional burden, the financial burden still continues. So we want to be a support system for that.
I've seen groups and families from past patients still support it, the next 5K or whatever.
Yeah. And so, and then one of the biggest things is equipment is really expensive. Yeah. And so we actually have equipment warehouses throughout the state of Texas that we're able to give to people for free. And allow to use that equipment as the disease progresses. So if you don't have the proper insurance, now most people can get on Medicare, but if you don't have the proper insurance, power wheelchair is $30,000.
Oh wow!
These are not inexpensive pieces of equipment, and so we have a fleet of them throughout the state it's really throughout the country, everywhere we're able to do that. And different types of equipment. I mean, we have everything. We just actually were through a grant. We got one of those big track wheelchairs that you can take on dirt on hiking through the sand, everything like that.
Oh, wow.
Because we want people to empower. So if a guy's going on a beach vacation with his family,
can't go on the beach.
Can't go on the beach with a normal power wheelchair. So we'll let them take the tank.
Take the tank.
You know what I mean? So they can go and enjoy and have that life, and so and continue to have that enjoyment while they're living with the disease. So we do a lot of things like that. Financial assistance, it's a burden, so we're able to provide financial assistance to families. And then we also operate clinic. We help with our medical partners operate clinics throughout the state. And so they operate the clinics. We help provide financial support and staff support. These are a place, if you could imagine when you're sick, if you go to and you have maybe a pretty significant illness, you go to one doctor, then everybody comes and sees you at that one place. That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? You don't have to go here for your dietitian. You don't have to go here for everything. That's what our clinics are. Once every 3 months they go, they see the neurologist, and all the other medical professionals see them in one place and create a plan of care.
Oh, cool.
And so we have those throughout the state. It's also where all of our clinical trials take place and things like that. So
probably easier passing of information when it comes to important.
Oh man, we have the team of doctors have team meetings before each clinic and go through each patient. And we're able to give kind of insight what happens outside of the home as well. Our team visits people in their home, create home care plans for them. And so the doctor can sit there and make a plan for their care with all of the information necessary. So there was a study done that our clinic system has actually begun to extend life by 12 to 18 months of people who attend our clinics.
Oh, wow.
Because we can help them get ahead, right? Uh-huh. So they can get on breathing devices before it's too late. They can, have the proper diet. They can, all those different things add up now, to extend life because you're getting ahead of problems before they become a problem.
Yeah.
And then research-wise, we have international research programs around the world. We fund about 120, 140 research projects at a time throughout the world. And so we invest a lot of our resources into that. Obviously, it takes a lot to find a cure and treatment. Now, we're probably talking about treatments and cures because ALS is very complicated, so it's not going to be a silver bullet.
A lot of problems.
Yeah, there's not going to be a silver bullet that cures ALS. Right now, one of our goals is to make this a chronic disease. Something that's treatable like MS.
Yeah.
It sounds underwhelming to the population, but it's not underwhelming if you have ALS.
For sure.
It's
and their families. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's to find out why this disease happens to people. It's a lot, and so we invest a lot of our finances to ensuring that research continues. One of the big things we talked about was the Ice Bucket Challenge, which infused a lot of money.
Yeah, you guys just touch on that real bit. You guys remember the Ice Bucket Challenge? People outside of the Jiu-Jitsu and MMA industry did
Everybody kind of knew what it was.
But for sure in the Jiu-Jitsu, I did it with Johnny Bedford and out front of Fitness Fight Factory, and it was freezing cold. We were dumping ice on ourselves.
Yeah,
but it created $1 million or something.
Oh, no, just the Texas chapter, we raised about $1 million. Nationally, it raised $115 million in 5 weeks. weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was the single largest social fundraising movement in history.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That is something for all you people that get mad about trends and stuff that gets circulated on Facebook. You remember that? We'll say that again from
$115 million in 5 weeks.
The largest trend
Like social media driven fundraising effort.
ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that. I'm glad I was a part of that.
Facebook literally changed their algorithms and how videos are displayed because of the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Wow.
They had 17 million videos uploaded to Facebook.
Wow, that's so.
So
cool.
I mean, it's like, and people were like, people are just. I had people come up and tell me all the time, I can't believe people are just doing their videos. Why don't they just donate? And I was like, we literally had to hire people to process donations.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, they're doing the Ice Bucket Challenge and they're giving. Like, and it changed the way we looked. It changed the way nonprofits look at giving, you know? Obviously, we love the guy who can write me a $100,000 check, right? I love that guy. He's the best. He's an awesome guy,
Yeah.
right? And that happens.
He gets a massage.
Yeah. You know, he gets whatever he wants. He can roll off the red carpet. You know, it's fantastic.
But $20 here and there.
But I'm telling you what, like, the way people give nowadays is different. And so they want to feel like it's going to make an impact. They want to be somewhat connected to that. And so the fact of the matter is, it was their friends asking them to donate $50 to $75. It wasn't this organization saying, give me your money.
It's even like on Facebook, you got people that say, don't buy me presents, donate.
Facebook fundraisers,
For my birthday, I want to donate to cancer.
That has changed. The way Facebook has integrated their fundraising has changed. I mean, the amount of money, I haven't seen the new numbers yet, but the amount of money Facebook has raised for nonprofits since they started doing that, I wouldn't be surprised it hits into the billions.
Yeah.
Because the power of our social networks is huge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm a firm believer that people give where their heart is and where they can trust. And it's hard to trust a large organization, but when your friend is asking you to donate, you know, you trust that person, right? So it changes the landscape. So,
well, I think a cool thing for me with ALS is I like you as a person.
That's good.
And a lot of people don't like, you know, on a touchy subject, some people don't like some of the main nonprofits out there in this world because next thing you know, there's misallocation of funds.
Right.
Next thing you know, this guy's being shaped. This guy's got a yacht in Monaco or something. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's been very impactful just on me knowing people within ALS. In terms of employees and workers and what they're doing on a daily basis. You know, you guys don't just sit on your butt and collect a paycheck. It's not like some conspiracy theorist people would think, you know, now it has bad thing. I mean, even veteran organizations have been, you know, but ALS, my fiance works in it, you work in it, I know the other employees here, you know, I've been to events. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, Christina did an event the other day, it was like $28,000 or something like that.
With the company doing their fundraiser.
Like bada bing, you know, and some of those things are like, wow, that's so cool. But in reality, some of those, it's so small. Like you're talking about a wheelchair being $30,000. Like she barely got one wheelchair.
But it takes all of that stuff combining to do what we need to do. You know, there's a lot more we want to do. There's parts of Texas with no clinics and no services because the Panhandle right now we suffer. You know, so we continually need to increase our finances to serve more people, to invest in new research projects. It's a continual thing. You know.
Well, I like I said, I fully am supportive of the ALS Association. I keep calling it organization. Christina gets on.
Listen, we get checks to the ALS Foundation, to the ALS Society. It's not a big deal. It's just the most important thing is you're making an impact with ALS.
Yes. So what AGF wants to do, American Grappling Federation, obviously, I was talking to my partner Chris, like, what's the best way that we can support ALS? What's the best way we can? Because Chris operates the website. You know, wrote code for the website, does all that. You know, do we support one of our bigger events in Oklahoma City or Dallas or something that's a 2-day event, you know, try and push people to there. We didn't know if it would be a hard thing for, as you share this in your ALS association, so shares this, you know, there's going to be people from outside of jiu-jitsu that they want to donate through the website maybe or something like that, or just hearing about it. So we wanted to make it easily navigated on the website. We didn't want to tie it to one tournament. So what we decided was we want to make ALS our charity for the year.
Awesome, man.
Which is
that's really cool.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
And the easiest way for us to do that, for our listeners and for you to know, is we're going to make it a store item. Okay,
awesome.
So like they don't have to navigate through into the registration page to a certain tournament. GoFundMes are great, don't get me wrong, but I didn't want to put just a GoFundMe on the main page.
Yeah.
So we put it as a store item, and then we use a system called Shopify, which is like tracks our inventory.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of talked about that earlier. So it'll be a store item. We're gonna have like $5, $10, $20, $50, and $100.
Yeah. That's awesome.
They won't necessarily be able to write in $153, for example. They'll have to buy in those increments. But we'll have a little display that I could put at the desk as well too, so that we could sell in person. At the events.
Yeah.
And something I didn't talk to you about as well is if you guys get a free day or weekend, should put a 10 up at our.
Oh, I love it.
Especially our Dallas one.
I can send this girl. Her name's Christina. She's already working at the tournament.
She's at the front. I'll just
she's at the front.
Put your red ALS shirt on. But that is something. She doesn't always have to work with. She could do one of those, but that I know you can't go to all the events. You know what I'm saying.
I'd love to go.
But you do live local.
I do live local. Maybe I could slide myself into one of the old boy open slots.
We're both in masters. I'm almost in seniors division. I'll be 38 in a month.
Oh, I'm in seniors.
Are you? Are you 40 yet?
I'm really close.
Are you older than me? How old are you?
I'm almost 39.
Oh, okay, good.
But senior starts at 40?
Yes. I always like being the youngest in the room. No, there's only two of us in the room right now. All right, so anyways, but just in case you guys have a free weekend, I know you do events all over and you get some of your stuff. You could, no charge, obviously, put your stuff inside the event if you want, literature, whatever you want to do, kind of explain stuff to people. But so for you listeners out there, we will soon have it in our store that you can go to on the website. And like I said, $5, $10, $20, $50, and $100 donations. You guys can go about donating that way through the jiu-jitsu world. If not, how would they go about it in your world?
So super easy, alstexas.org. They can find out all the information about not only what happens here locally, but all around the world with ALS. So alstexas.org, super simple. They can find out. And if you want more information too, you can contact us. We have a lot of good information on the website as well. But if you're local and you want to be involved too, all the phone numbers, contact information is on there. And we can get you plugged in and involved. It takes everybody doing just a little something to make a big impact. So
and there's other cool events too for the people that outside of jiu-jitsu. If you like to run and blah blah blah, that kind of stuff, you got 5Ks, 3Ks. Another interesting thing you got coming up right now, I think you being the hunter fisherman type, you got the clay shoot.
The sporting clay tournament, we have one that has been very successful in Houston. It's a really big tournament now. And we started one in Dallas that's coming up March 5th. There's information on the website about it. It's a lot of fun, man. Do sporting clays is a tournament. There's winners. There's definitely losers in that as well. Then after the guns are put away, we have some cocktails and drink and eat some barbecue and hang out and things like that. And we do a program. And we always honor somebody with ALS at one of these events. Mm-hmm. I think everybody with ALS deserves to be honored, but we'll pick a couple of people and they come and speak a little bit, tell the people about their journey and kind of what an impact they can make, at that event. So it's a good experience for everybody.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And speaking of the fisherman side, because you've always been an outdoorsy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I would live my life outdoors. If possible.
I had that. Did you see that little advertisement?
Yeah, I saw you pick. I'm
glad.
I
tried not to get any brutal elk pictures because
the bloody me holding up.
I didn't want PETA attacking ALS. No.
Dude, people are crazy with that, man. But I'm in Texas, so it's a little more acceptable.
It was winter or something. I don't know if it was this year or last year, but I mean, you went to Colorado as well.
I go to Colorado once a year, backpacking in the mountains and camp and hunt elk and hike them out if we get one. This past year we weren't so successful, but had a lot of learning experiences about how we're not as good in the mountains as we thought we were. Got caught in a couple of bad situations, but yeah, man, we love it. I love to bow hunt a lot here in Texas. I take my gun out to Colorado though.
Yeah, that's elk.
Yeah, you can bow hunt elk too. A lot of people do. I just don't have that much opportunity, and so if I can shoot 300 yards, I'm gonna shoot 300 yards.
Yeah.
You know.
And so you guys you say hike it out. You're like
7-day packs, hiking into the mountains.
And then you have a giant backpack and you can stuff the meat in.
Yeah. Then we hike the meat out. That's that.
Savage.
Yeah, and it makes you realize. I mean, I do a lot of. I'll stop lifting weights, things like that, and I literally just do cardio before I go, like for 3 months, because it's like, dude, those mountains suck your lungs.
I was stationed in Fort Carson, Colorado.
Oh yeah, it's the worst, dude.
Yeah.
And then the past couple of years, it's not supposed to be snowy yet, early October. And both years, man, we got like a foot of snow. And I'm telling you what, hiking with an 80-pound pack that's like meat, kind of trying to do this on you, and snow is like, it's like, man, I like flat ground, but elk don't live there.
And you're fishing. I mean, you had some pretty cool fishing.
Oh yeah, man, I love to fish. Down one of our big fishing tournaments here for ALS, we down Port Mansfield down in South Texas. Fishing the bay for speckled trout and redfish, and then a really good friend has a house and a boat in Venice, Louisiana. So we go out there and do all the way up to yellowfin tuna. We caught my first swordfish this year, which is pretty awesome.
Nice. Usually I see that on the West Coast.
Yeah, but I mean, you can get off the coast of Louisiana, man. You can get deep quick out there. Here in Texas, you got to be on the boat for a long time, but yeah, and I love it, man. Have a freezer full of wild game meat, so. You've
always been the dude where I was like, bro, you need to eat some vegetables because you got 8 pounds of meat on your plate.
Oh, it's funny, man. I went to my doctor to do all my levels. He's like, I think you need to eat more protein and red meat, so it's low in iron, all this stuff. I was like, hey, doc, like, I appreciate you, but I'm not sure I could actually physically eat more meat than I do right now.
Oh, wow, yeah. Yeah, I've had some meals with you before, and I'm like, dude, you can eat my arm.
But yeah.
So you've got a wife and 3 kids.
Wife and 3 kids, man. Amazing.
Do they enjoy as much meat as you do?
Yeah, my boys, my daughter does too. Actually, my daughter's even probably my kid who's most into hunting. She wants to be with me all the time doing it, and she, they're not afraid to clean the animals, look at them, things like that. They want to know where everything came from, and so cool. You grow them up, raise them like that. They're just accustomed to it.
I've seen some Mossy Oak rifle pictures with the daughter.
Yeah, dude. Man, that girl kid. I took her out shooting for the first time, and we were shooting the AR, and she was dinging steel at 100 yards.
Wow.
Yeah, doing well, man.
That's nice. How old is she right now?
She's 9.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, it was cool to see. She's got a steadier hand than I do. She's not afraid of anything, right? So she's just head down. And
I heard something I don't know if it's 100% true, but I heard this before, so I'm gonna repeat it.
All right.
I heard that women actually can make better snipers because their heartbeat is slower.
I mean, maybe if they can be emotionally attached, I don't know. That thing is probably because honestly, like my daughter's yet to kill anything. She really wants to try. I'm interested because she is so empathetic.
Yeah.
Like she just is. My youngest son, dude. He wants to like poke the eyeball of the animal after we shoot it. Like it seems like no empathy. So I don't know, but as far as like steady hand and staying calm, like yeah. And she, archery wise, man, she can hit a grapefruit at 20 yards with her bow.
Awesome.
So
that's how Christina is too, though.
Yeah.
Like, she can have a burger all day long, but if you talk about a cow, she's like, no. The empathy is there.
I want to be disconnected from where that came here. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's. I don't usually tell people what they're eating when they come to my house. They don't want to be told.
I go to Twisted Root a lot.
Yeah. You can get elk, bison,
camel. Camel's actually my favorite. It's juicy.
Really?
Super juicy.
Well, because it's a greasy meat, right?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, obviously, but you can. I feel like you can. If you cook something medium, but who does that, right? I get medium rare. But if you cook something and you cook several different meats, but you cook them all the same medium, I feel like the camel is probably one of the most juiciest.
Well, it's funny when I tell people they're like, "This tastes gamey," and I'm like, "No, you're actually tasting nutrition."
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's actually what you're tasting. Yeah. Like when you taste like an elk or a deer, they're like, "This tastes gamey." I'm like, "No, that's what actual vitamins and meat taste like."
Yeah.
And it weirds them out. They're like, "So it's not in beef?" I'm like, "Not really."
No.
I grew up in Iowa. There's beef farms everywhere, right? But I've seen what they feed them.
Oh wow! Yeah.
They taste good.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's a big part of my life, man.
I was obviously a city boy in LA, right?
Yeah.
Bona fide concrete jungle. But when I was a kid, I'd say seven-ish, I'd say somewhere around there, 6, 7, 8, something like that. My mom would send me to her mother's in Montana.
Yeah.
And I learned about panning for gold.
Yeah.
Trout fishing.
Yeah.
Trout, salmon. Big can dang near hit our daily limit every day, and it was like 30 fish or something.
Yeah.
Like that, right?
Not anymore.
Yeah, used to be. Yeah. 30 years ago. Oh my God, I'm old. But she would get elk.
Yeah.
Deer, of course. But you ever seen the movie River Runs Through with Brad Pitt, right? And fly fish and all that? So that Blackfoot River right there was like 50 yards from her back door.
Yeah.
Right? And man, they would actually, my grandpa, Grandpa John at the time, there was like this tree line that stopped on either side. It was literally like a path of grass that came down to the water, and animals, deer, elk, would follow that path. They wouldn't just come out the woods. They would follow that path. They come right down. They would literally just go out of their back door. And my grandma had an elephant gun, like the big old boom, boom.
45-70 probably, yeah.
And my grandpa would go out there, boom, and it'd shoot the elk. I'm a kid, young. This isn't when I was a teenager. This is my first exposure to this craziness. And I go, I'm watching my grandpa. He gets waders on, goes across it, because it's not a rough part of the river at all. It's very calm at this point, and goes across, ties this thing up, right? Puts it on kind of like maybe like a mat, not a mat, too much jiu-jitsu, sorry. Piece of plastic or something under, and moves it on. And on the other side, he comes back, so he's got this rope, and on the other side of the river, he's got one of those tiny little bobcat tractors, like the one-man small ones, and he drags this thing. How else are you going to get across the river?
You're not.
And so he drags this thing across the river. I'm like, what is going on? I'm going to go inside. And they always made me watch, I couldn't watch TV like kids today. I was only allowed to watch National Geographic at my grandma's house. She's like, you're going to learn something if you're watching TV.
Yeah.
So then my grandma's like, come on in here. You're going to learn something, boy. And I'm like, all right. So I go into the garage, and they've got this thing reeled up on a pulley in the garage. And they stick the knife in the gut, and they start to pull it down and gut. And I was, it was my first exposure. My grandma's like, no, you're going to watch. She was the grandma that would get a fish if we caught a fish and hold it by its gills and slap me with its tail. She was that grandma.
Oh, yeah. I mean, growing up in the city, people are disconnected from that process, and I love exposing people to it. I had a buddy who moved here from India, never eaten meat before in his life, and took him hunting because he wanted to experience it. And I was getting the deer, and he's standing behind me, and I was here, it's just, but now he's a big meat eater. He loves it, But man, it teaches people a lot, and I think it's awesome.
I went out to Montana for a summer too. I went out there probably like 6 to 8 times as well too. So I did all up to my teenage years, and now I got a tournament in Missoula, Montana.
Really?
Yeah, and I have a daughter named Jordan up there.
People have camo gis up there.
Yeah, right. It's a trip. Yeah, my daughter actually does swimming and stuff like that. And I'm like, isn't it cold? She's like, Dad, everything's inside.
Everything's
all right. So we go up to Missoula. We went October last year. We're going May this year.
Nice.
But it is. I'll tell you this. I've got a buddy, shout out to Bradley in Missoula BJJ. I taught over at the school, and he helped organize and all this kind of stuff. We go to Hellgate High School. That's the name of the high school, actually.
Of course.
So we got to have the podium right below it so we see the Hellgate, right? We have to do the tournament around hunting season.
Yeah.
There's literally been other tournaments where they're like, dude, they just put it on the day of, opening day of bow season or something, right?
Done. Nobody's here.
Nobody's there. I was like, well, I'm glad I got a local telling me what days to go to.
Happens here in Texas all the time. We have these walks around the state, and all the walks happen in October. That's when bow season opens up in Texas. I'm like, listen, y'all, we got to figure this out.
Yeah. This is not good coordination.
I don't know if I'm going to be attending.
Yeah. Right? Well, you do lose some people that are diehard. I mean, speaking of like Levi Miles and them, they always had a deer lease that they go to. Yeah. And you got your allotted time, and it's at this time that it's legal, and it's at this place that you've rented for 15 years or something. So some people are like, dude, this is what.
I'm in a situation where I take about 4 to 5 deer, about 2 pigs, and then share an elk, and it's not like you don't get that in one weekend. Because that's why I used it, and then a couple of fishing trips, and we literally eat wild game the whole year. And it's hard to do that. That's time in the woods, man. People think you just go out there and just shoot stuff, and it doesn't work like that.
No, I see people go out and come back with nothing.
All the time. Yeah. All the time. And so it's work, but it's enjoyable work, but you can't just figure like it's going to happen. So you got to spend time. Yeah. It's an art and craft, man. I'll tell you what.
I feel like if I fish, I get more fish than if I were to hunt and get nothing. I'd be like, dude, I wasted the whole weekend. I know this guy's whole story about everything about his kids and his wife.
But we saw nothing.
And covered in deer pee.
Yeah. What's hilarious is like all the different things that people use nowadays. Got the right camo, the right gun, the right bow. I grew up hunting with my grandfather. Walk out there in a white T-shirt and jeans and shoot more than everybody. No scent, no nothing. It's about knowledge of the land, of the game you're hunting.
That's sales. That's just sales.
Oh, absolutely. And I followed at the trap, hook, line, and sinker every single time.
Yeah. When you enjoy something,
I do. Yeah, I enjoy it. But I will tell you though, having the right gear when you're in Colorado is important.
Oh, for sure.
I don't buy it. It's the higher price the item I'm probably going to buy. I went to REI and I was like, I froze my off last year. I don't want to be cold. Take my money, please.
Yeah.
Because
I learned a lot of lessons there because like everywhere else I was in the Army was a lot warmer, and man, that sun goes down in Colorado, even if it's sometimes like in the, not just the winter, temperature drops quick. And then because the sun's setting on the west coast, it's on that side of the mountains, it goes down quicker, and it's just different too. You're closer to the sun, you get sunburn faster, like all that kind of stuff happens. There's a lot of different elements. And I have damn near frozen a few times too, we used to have rotations. Someone's got to heat that stove.
It got down to about -3 this past year. We went up there. We're in straight tents. We're not in a wall tent with a stove or anything like that. And so that's why I went to REI when I saw projected weather. Guy hooked me up, but it was still,
I've done straight up sleeping bags outside.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do to make yourself feel warm in that situation. You can just not die. Like that,
Yeah.
This will keep you from not dying, but it's still not comfortable.
Interesting thing I learned too in the military was being out that cold. We have just your face is showing out of the sleeping bag.
Yeah.
It's not like the ones where you buy and it's like shoulder height and your head is sitting on. You got a nice pillow. Like you're completely cocooned inside of this thing and it's waterproof. And if you get in with clothes on, you will sweat in it.
Oh yeah.
And then when you get out, you will freeze. And so we're taught to take our clothes off, put our clothes at the base of our sleeping bag so it keeps your feet warm too, but that way you don't sweat like crazy, and then you can put your warm clothes on in the morning. And for you new recruits, I highly suggest
it helps, dude. That's what guy REI told me. He's like, pack a sleeping pair of thermals, ones that you're only going to sleep in, and take off everything else. And I didn't do that in years past. I did it this year, and it was key.
I get down to my underwear.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even go into thermals. Because we get those super thick, because I was also the aviation unit that's up there and stuff, and so you get I forgot the name of it. It wasn't quite the bear suits that we use in Bosnia and stuff like that, but it's thicker than what we would buy call a thermal, like at Walmart or something, The typical thermals is a little bit thicker, so you will start sweating. So I had to take those off.
What I did learn is I don't fit in a mummy bag. And so the guy at REI was like,
"You don't fit through a door."
Yeah, the guy was like, "We have these things called spoon-shaped bags."
This does not sound good.
And I got the spoon-shaped bag worked fine. But it was like it's like this, and then it's for
more like a teardrop bag.
Yeah, it's for big guys.
Spoons go back in.
Well, it did kind of go back up this way, but even that thing, I realized I wasn't getting the quite warmth I needed because the fabric was completely stretched out, but it's fine.
Yeah, you got a plan on going this year too?
Yeah, we go in October, so we'll go again. We went in October this year. We're not successful in our hunt this year for an elk. Happens, but we'll be back. Yeah.
What is to go touch back to ALS real quick?
Yeah.
We've got a few minutes left. What is because this will probably be released within a week. Today's tomorrow's February 1st. Probably within a week we put it out. What is some upcoming ALS events maybe that people can? I know you said you got the clay shoot in May.
Yeah, March 5th is the clay shoot here in Dallas. Then we have I think March 22nd in Houston is another clay shoot.
Well, how much is it? Because I think I have some some people that may be interested in the clay shoot.
Yeah, so the clay shoot is like,
yeah,
so we look at, so you usually enter into a team, and I think it's $1,000 a team or $250 for an individual. Obviously, do the math. There's 4 people to a team, and so that pays for all of your ammo, your entrance fee to the course, all that stuff. You just bring your gun and the dinner and the food and the drinks, but then also you're investing in help. It's to help us serve people here in Texas.
And I've got some weapon, rifle, pistol, shotgun experience. Because I've never shot clay shooting though. So can someone who's never done clay shooting?
Absolutely, man. Because listen, we had a guy come to our tournament in Houston who'd never shot a gun before. He's from Boston, but he played pro baseball and hits fastballs. That guy freaking ran the course. His hand was on point, man.
Cool.
So it's for every level of person. Cool. We have people that show up, don't know how to shoot at all, and then you have guys that get out of their car and they've been doing some shooting because they're wearing tweed vest and pull the gun out of a sliding case out of the back of their Range Rover and
everything's covered in NRA.
But then we have people that are just there to really support ALS, and so it's a fun day. And then we have the fishing tournament in June down in Port Mansfield. Big golf tournament, gala party in Austin. Bob Louis, the sportscaster for CBS, he's one of our board members in Austin, throws a big party. That's in April. Cool. So we have throughout the state, lots of different things. But all those events and stuff are listed on the website.
Awesome, man. Yeah. I know we also, I helped with the golfing tournament. They did golfing too.
Yeah. So there's
all kinds of events.
There's all types of events, that ways people can get involved. So
yeah. So it's not for those people out there. What I'm also trying to lean towards in this conversation is it's not just donation. I mean, of course, donations is the driving factor to try and help these people, but there's actually fun, cool events of all types to get involved in. Whether it's exercise and running 5Ks, or it's fundraiser at a hotel, or it's fishing and hunting and not hunting, but clay shooting, and, all kinds of events. So I think it's pretty cool.
But I think too, just follow us on Facebook, ALS Association of Texas, and part of it is creating awareness. So we post a lot of different things about knowledge about ALS and people's individual stories, and just share the content. People so they can be exposed to what ALS is. And do research yourself and educate yourself. I think that's really important when we look at what our responsibility is here is to educate people about the disease too. So
yeah, for sure. One last thing, a little bit off that subject. You gonna go with me to watch Levi in his first UFC fight?
Yes. Absolutely, man. I've watched several of those fights, and it just makes me so proud.
Yeah. You're part of it.
Just that I got to be a very small part of his journey. But when I see him lower his hips and keeps his back straight and his head up and dumps the dude on his head, it makes me a little proud inside.
He's getting there, man. I can't say too much. I can hint at a few things, but I figure you would want to go. I'll let you know.
Yeah. I'll make plans. I'd love to.
I'm not his head coach anymore. AGF is my thing full time. I still teach advanced class over at Fitness Fight Factory, where the headquarters is and stuff. But Johnny Bedford and Rafael Casillas are his main coaches now. And I even told him last night. I was like, "Look, dude, you need to keep me in the loop on this because I will buy that flight. I mean, I don't care where it is. I've got Kevin Aguilar fights in New Zealand in a few weeks, right? So there's some that are like crazy far. Hopefully, his first one's in Vegas.
Hey, if he's in New Zealand, that'd be great. I could shoot a red stag while I'm out there.
There you go.
Yeah, man, that atmosphere watching him fight would be insane. I've been to a couple of UFC fights in Vegas, and I just can't imagine watching somebody I actually care about in a fight, because I went and watched Conor Diaz 2 in Vegas.
Yes.
And that was
insane.
The atmosphere was insane.
Yeah.
And to be able to watch somebody you care about in that atmosphere too.
Bro, I want to barf every time I watch him fight. I'm so nervous. I'm like, the whole time, I can coach good. The coaching is good, but I almost get emotional. People have no idea the pressure. And Levi, like I said, love him. He's fought in some good fights, and he's fought in Legacy and different stuff like that. But when I cornered Johnny Bedford, my respect for what these fighters, when we would walk out, Johnny fought in Abu Dhabi. It's the only outdoor event in the UFC. It was the second one though, so it wasn't the very first one, but it was the same place. It was inside the Ferrari racetrack in Abu Dhabi on Yas Island. There was helicopters landing, sheiks going up, it was insane, dude. And then we fought in Brazil. So we were in Brasilia, Brazil. You're in these auditoriums and these. You walk out, and they're like, Brazilians are yelling, they want to skin you. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it's so intense.
Yeah.
It is so intense. My respect level for high level fighters.
Yeah.
Not anybody gets respect. You step into a cage, but let's get real. When you're in Alabama and it's some little tiny little amateur thing, yes, you get respect for going in there, but has the level when they go to the UFC and when they go to these big fights, Bellator, and like, woo.
See, that's why I think a lot of times wrestlers are mentally, not to that level at all, but they're mentally prepared more than the average individual because, especially growing up in the Midwest, I always, you are walking out and there's a lot of people in that gym or auditorium where you're wrestling and you're by yourself and there is a light. In many occasions I've wrestled with just a light over a mat and you're in the situation where it's just you and another opponent. And from a young age, you get conditioned that way. And I think just the mentality helps.
Oh, that's talked about a lot in the MMA world.
Yeah.
The competition. Plus, you get a lot of matches. Even like with the AGF, we do consolation matches for kids, which is like they get an extra free match if they haven't done 2 matches at least. Just because like the jiu-jitsu world, you don't get as many matches as wrestlers. Plus, you guys go into a loser's bracket and can wrestle back. We at least fight for third. Like a lot of other tournaments don't fight for third. You got 2 people standing on the third place podium. I'm like, what is that?
They can fight each other.
Whackness, dude. That is so whack. But
that's a participation trophy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, maybe they even fought to get there.
Yeah.
So it could be an 8-16 million man bracket. Doesn't matter, but there ends up being 2 guys on the third place. I never liked that. I was like, one of y'all needs to be third place. Fight it out. Yeah. And so I always like that, but. Yeah, man, the wrestlers have a lot more experience when it comes to how many matches they have, And then I was watching my coach's son in Arkansas, even some of those wrestle-offs. So it's like we were saying, one-on-one with the spotlight.
Dude, every year, in high school growing up, one of my good friends was the same weight class. I had to wrestle off for my varsity position every week, then to just go wrestle in the duel.
Yeah. Duel. I guess the wrestle off is for your own team, right?
You're right. Yeah. When your wrestle off is like inside the team when you're seeing who's going to wrestle for a varsity position. That happens a lot. And then the duel is when two teams compete against each other, and then you have tournaments.
So that's what I mean. I watched the other day. I watched the duel.
Yeah.
And it was one at a time, one mat, spotlight.
It's intense.
Good training.
I mean, I was a thrower upper guy, man. Before every single, I just. Be warming up and then just walk to the bathroom real quick, barf, and then walk out to the mat.
Yeah. I always tell new people, I was like, because in jiu-jitsu, when you're a white belt for sure, and there's 15 mats, there's 10 mats, 8 mats, whatever it is, you still think the whole world is watching.
Nobody's watching you at all.
Like 8 people, maybe, right? And 2 of them are your coaches, like so people get nervous, and I always say that eventually you're going to know when you get nervous. Some people get nervous before, and then it goes away at a certain point, right? It goes away when you step onto the mats. It goes away when you clap hands and bump fists.
Yeah.
It goes away after your first clinch.
Yeah.
Or it goes away when you hit the ground and you find these subtle grips and the game settles there. When you start to get, and this is a little advice for all the new competitors out there, when you do a few tournaments and you start to realize where eventually your nerves go away. Your first, very, 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 very first match, you might be nervous the whole way through. But most of my white belt students, I'm like, the second match, I'm like, that it wasn't so bad. You know what to expect now. So after your first one, I don't even count that. I even tell people, I don't count your first anything combat sport. Wrestling, jiu-jitsu, boxing, kickboxing, anything. Your first ever competition, just wipe that out the window. You might have done great. That doesn't mean that's going to be the future. You might have done horrible. Doesn't mean that's going to be the future. But you go through that experience and you're like, it wasn't that bad. Even if you get smashed, you're like, this is just like what was going on in the gym. There's just a referee involved now, But then after a few experienced matches, you start to realize, and you can self-analyze, where did my nerves go away? And at a certain point, you're thinking about the game and not just that. So it's something to know about yourself, For me, it's when I get grips. And while we're free phase at first, I still get nervous, but for me, it's when I get grips,
Mine was when I got in my stance and I would look down and see my toe hit the line, and I'd look up at my opponent. That's when I stopped getting nervous.
That's when it's so good.
You know what I mean? But that's when it just kind of, you forget about everything else that was happening here. then you have to focus, or else you're going to get slammed on your head.
Yes. Man, I had a great time.
Man, thank you so much.
I appreciate you coming on the show.
Absolutely.
I'll send you a message, let you know when it's officially out.
Fantastic.
Just a shout out one more time. What is ALS?
ALSTexas.org.
ALSTexas.org. If you guys would like to check out the events and the donation options there. And then, like I said, the AGF, we are putting it in the store. My partner Chris right now is on his way to Odessa to run the Odessa tournament. He said that he will probably have it up like early next week for the donation options. And
cool.
Man, thanks for listening.
Yeah,
appreciate
it.
Guys. For you guys that are listening on the podcast and for the video.
Awesome.
Good stuff.
All right, man.
Anything else? You good?
No, I'm good, man. Thank you, guys.
All right.